WWE NXT Results February 8, 2022. Tonight's WWE NXT 2.0 opens up on Sci-Fi with a video package to promote tonight's women's title match, which will be the main event. We're live from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida as Vic Joseph welcomes us. He's joined at ringside by Wade Barrett. Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Semi-Finals, the Creed Brothers vs. the Grizzled Young Veterans. We go right to the ring and see the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic trophy on display. The Creed brothers, Brutus Creed and Julius Creed, are already in the ring representing the Diamond Mine as Alicia Taylor does the introductions. Malcolm Bivens, Roderick Strong, and Ivy Nile are at ringside. Out next are the Grizzled Young Veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. The winners will advance to the finals at Vengeance Day next Tuesday. Drake and Gibson begin talking trash on the mic, but Brutus and Julius exit the ring and rush them at the entranceway and they start brawling. Brutus and Drake are legal now as the bell hits. Brutus with a huge backdrop. Drake and Gibson regroup at ringside as Brutus taunts them from the ring. Gibson tags in now, but he ends up double-teamed as Julius comes in. Brutus slams his brother on top of Gibson for a big pop. Drake decks Julius with a cheap shot in the corner, allowing Gibson to level him with a clothesline. Fans chant "You suck" at GYV as Bivens seethes at ringside. Drake beats Julius around the ring now. Gibson is legal, but Julius doesn't see it. He still gets the upper hand and drop kicks Gibson after sending Drake out. Brutus tags in and they take turns driving knees into Gibson. Brutus with a big suplex to Gibson, sending him to the floor to regroup with Drake. Brutus comes out to bring Gibson back in. Drake grabs his leg on his way back in, and he gets dropped back to the floor after Gibson hits him with a throat jab while the referee is distracted. Brutus clutches his throat at ringside now. The GYV hold him down under the frame of the ring and slingshot his throat under the steel. Fans boo as Brutus continues to clutch his throat. Fans chant and rally for Brutus while Gibson dominates him. Drake tags back in and grounds Brutus, working on his throat some more. Julius rallies as Brutus fights back, but Gibson tags back in and stops him from mounting a fence. Gibson stomps Brutus around. Brutus blocks a vertical suplex with one of his own and fans pop, chanting for the brothers now. Drake stops Brutus from tagging, then jumps on Brutus' back for a sleeper hold as fans boo. Brutus keeps fighting and drops Drake with a forearm. Julius finally tags in, decking Drake and knocking Gibson off the apron. Julius runs wild on Drake now as fans cheer him on. Julius with a stretch muffler in the middle of the ring. Drake counters into a guillotine, but Julius dumps him on his head. Julius with a power slam for a 2 count as Gibson breaks the pin up just in time. Julius knocks Gibson out of the ring. Drake and Julius tangle now. Gibson is legal now, but Julius doesn't see it. Julius ends up on the floor, distracted with Gibson. Drake nails a suicide dive, hitting Julius in the back of his head, sending him into the announce table face first. Fans chant "Holy shit" at the dive. Drake and Gibson bring Julius back in and they hit a big doomsday device, but somehow Julius kicks out. Drake can't believe it. Julius dodges Drake and he goes down. Brutus tags in as does Gibson. Brutus clutches his throat, but he wants revenge. Brutus and Gibson unload on each other. Brutus with a takedown and big strikes. Brutus knocks Drake off the apron but turns back around to another throat shot from Gibson. Drake tags in and they double team Brutus now. Gibson and Drake call for the finish now. Drake goes to the top but Brutus keeps fighting. Julius runs in out of nowhere, leaps off his brother's back to the top and nails a huge superplex on Drake as fans go wild. Gibson is planted after by Julius after his brother assists him. Julius is ready to put Gibson away as he drops his straps. Brutus steps back up, realizes he's legal and tells Julius he's got this one, and then nails the big lariat while Gibson is down to keep him down. Brutus covers for the pin to win and advance. Winners, the Creed brothers. After the match, the Diamond Mine celebrates in the ring as the music hits and we go to replays. Fans pop big time for the Creed brothers. Brutus and Julius advance to the finals at Vengeance Day, against the winners of MSK vs Edris, Enofe and Malik Blade. We see Bivens and his crew posing by the Dusty Cup trophy now. We see what happened with Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez last week. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Jade now, and she's excited to team with Gonzalez in the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic in 2 weeks. Valentina Feroz and Yulisa Leon interrupt and have some words for Jade until Gonzalez interrupts. She cuts a promo in Spanish, and they speak Spanish back to her. Jade and Mitchell are clueless. Gonzalez and Jade leave together. We see what happened with Wendy, Choo, Amari Miller, and Tiffany Stratton last week. We see Wendy and Amari returning to the building from a shopping trip earlier today. Wendy says that was fun until Stratton's daddy's credit card got cancelled. She tosses the card in a trash can and they walk away laughing. Tiffany Stratton vs Wendy Choo. We go back to the ring and Tiffany Stratton is wrapping up her entrance. Wendy Choo is out next. This match was previously announced with Daddy's credit card on the line. The bell rings and they argue in the middle of the ring. Stratton is upset about Daddy's credit card. They lock up and go at it. Choo gets the upper hand with her unique offense. Choo ducks a roundhouse kick and rolls Stratton for 2. Choo with a drop kick into the corner. Choo with a running kick to the face, then a running elbow drop for a 2 count. Choo grounds Stratton with a headlock now. Choo keeps control and cartwheels into Stratton in the corner, but she runs into an elbow. Stratton mounts some offense now and nails a springboard splash into the corner. Stratton with more offense, including a basement drop kick into the corner. Stratton hits a springboard corkscrew splash from the second rope for the pin to win. Winner, Tiffany Stratton. After the match, Stratton stands tall as the music hits. We go to replays. We see footage of Draco Anthony being approached by Joe Gacy and Harland in the locker room after last week's NXT TV debut loss to Andre Chase. Draco talked about being disappointed in the loss when Gacy entered and interrupted. Gacy said Draco should not be disappointed as he gave it everything he had. Gacy told Draco to keep his head up and just remember that he does not have to do this all by himself. Gacy said he's here to listen, not to just Draco's actions, but his words. Gacy told Draco to have a good night, then walked off while Harland stared at Draco. Mackenzie is backstage with Pete Dunne for comments on next week's steel cage match against Tony D'Angelo. Dunne says everyone knows D'Angelo talks too much, but he's been fairly quiet since losing to Cameron Grimes. Dunne says he will finish this where it all started next week, inside a steel cage. Draco Anthony approaches and says D'Angelo might not respect Dunne, but he does, and it will be an honor to share the ring tonight. Dunne says whatever and he's still going to snap Draco's fingers. Dunne walks off. Pete Dunne vs Draco Anthony. We go back to the ring and out comes Pete Dunne with his cricket bat in hand. Back to commercial. Back from the break and the match is already underway as Draco Anthony has Dunne grounded. We see Joe Gacy and Harland watching from up high in the arena. Dunne fights back up and they run the ropes, but Draco drops him with a shoulder. Dunne fights out of a suplex, but Draco tries again and drops him on his head. Draco stands on Dunne's hands and goes to stomp, but Dunne moves. Dunne drops Draco and starts bending his fingers back while keeping him down. Dunne with a knee to the face. Fans chant "break his fingers," as Dunne ties Draco's arm back up and takes him down, then hurts his hand again. Draco fights back with right hands, but Dunne drops him with ease. Dunne bends Draco's arm back now. Dunne holds Draco down and unloads with strikes, and also slaps him. Draco fights back and drops Dunne with a right to the jaw. Draco sends Dunne into the corner and mounts some offense now. Draco slams Dunne face first in the middle of the ring for a 2 count. Draco locks eyes with Gacy and Harland again but wastes some time. Dunne capitalizes and drops him, then stomps on his hand again. Dunne gets caught in a big overhead throw. Dunne goes to the floor for a breather but meets Draco at the ropes with a big right hand. Tony D'Angelo tries to sneak attack Dunne at ringside with a crowbar but it backfires and Dunne unloads. Dunne comes back in and hits a snap German suplex, then the bitter end on Draco for the pin to win. Winner, Pete Dunne. After the bell, Dunne stands up as his music hits but D'Angelo immediately applies a sleeper hold from the apron. Dunne fights D'Angelo off and knocks him to the floor. Dunne goes under the ring and starts throwing steel chairs, trash cans and kendo sticks into the ring as fans pop. Dunne also slides a toolbox into the ring. He brings the cricket bat into the ring as fans chant "Bruiserweight" at him. Dunne says D'Angelo is going to need more than a crowbar at Vengeance Day, so how about they find whatever they can, attach it to the cage, and have a weaponized steel cage match. D'Angelo accepts the challenge as fans go wild. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark are backstage talking about the Dusty Classic. Stark mentions how they need to find Shirai a partner because she is still injured, and that partner has to be as crazy as Shirai. Shirai finally agrees and apparently has someone in mind but she won't tell Stark just yet. Shirai walks off and Stark follows. LA Knight vs Sanga. We go back to the ring and out comes LA Knight to a pop. Back to commercial. Back from the break and Wendy Choo walks up on Dakota Kai in the back, catching Kai checking out Wendy's new clothes she bought earlier in the day. Kai says these new clothes won't buy Wendy victories in the ring. We go back to the ring and out comes Sanga with Grayson Waller. Fans boo as they head to the ring and Knight looks on. The bell rings and they go at it. Knight beats Sanga into the corner and keeps hitting him with big power moves in an attempt to daze him. Sanga takes them all and turns it around in the corner, unloading on Knight while Waller smiles and talks trash at ringside. Sanga knocks Knight over the top rope to the floor. Sanga follows and tries to ram Knight into the ring post face first but Knight counters and Sanga does down into the pole. Knight brings it back into the ring and mounts a fence as fans cheer him on. Sanga counters and Knight goes back down to boos. Sanga drops an elbow for a close 2 count. Knight keeps fighting and finally drop kicks Sanga down but Knight is also dazed and slow to capitalize. Waller removes the turnbuckle pad to expose the steel. Sanga grabs Knight by the throat but Knight connects with a thumb to the eye. Waller's trick backfires as Sanga ends up running into the steel as Knight moves out of the way. Knight follows up with the big neck breaker for the pin to win. Winner, LA Knight. After the match, Waller immediately hits the ring to attack but Knight fights him off and drops him face first with the BFT. Vic says Knight can do whatever he wants to Waller as the restraining order has been lifted. Sanga yells out at Knight as Knight makes his exit. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Duke Hudson, asking about Dante Chen. Hudson says Chen isn't as tough as he says he is, and he's not here for a reason tonight. Hudson wishes Indy Hartwell good luck in next week's match for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles, and tells her to bring the gold home. Hudson walks off. Still to come, Braun Breaker and Santos Escobar will meet in the ring. Back to commercial. Back from the break and Wade Barrett is in the ring to host this Vengeance Day Championship Summit. Legado del Fantasma is already out, Santos Escobar with Elektra Lopez, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza. Escobar is sitting at the table with Barrett. Barrett introduces NXT champion Braun Breaker and out he comes to a big pop. Barrett gives the first question to Breaker and asks him what makes him so sure he will retain next week. Breaker has already said he respects Escobar but next week he will beat him and there's not a damn thing he can do about it. Breaker stands up and fans bark for him. Breaker says they all know how these contract signing things go, so why don't we flip the table over and start fighting now? Escobar laughs and says he wouldn't expect something else from someone so young, new and naive. Escobar says when he talks about doing things on his own time, he means he has everything under control. Escobar says while people like Paul Heyman are calling Breaker the future of WWE, he's already plotting ways to end Breaker's career. The music interrupts and out comes Dolph Ziggler to a big pop. Fans chant holy shit, as Ziggler, wearing a suit, heads to the ring. Fans chant Ziggler's name now as he takes a seat at the table where Barrett was. Ziggler says what a night, what a moment, the NXT champion and his challenger are ready to throw down, until Ziggler shows up. Ziggler jabs at Breakker, saying he owns or rented a cell phone, in reference to their social media beef. Ziggler says Breakker has wanted to know if he works Tuesdays, and apparently he does now. Ziggler says time is money and he has a plane to catch, so he has one thing to say to Breakker, who the hell are you? Braun says he's the NXT champion and the reason Ziggler is down here, pal. Braun says he will handle Ziggler as soon as he's done with Escobar. Ziggler says that's an amateur move. Ziggler goes on about his accomplishments and jokes that 99 out of 100 matches don't go his way, but everyone is aware of what he can do any night of the week. Ziggler says all those accolades he has, and he's never had the NXT title. Fans chant triple threat, now. Ziggler says he doesn't have to be better or smarter than Braun, even though he is, all he has to do is be in Braun's head and with the littlest thumb to the eye, he can. The music hits and out comes Tommaso Ciampa to interrupt. Ciampa says seeing Ziggler in an NXT ring is a sight to see, but Ziggler as NXT champion is a hard pass. Ciampa pulls up a chair next to Ziggler and says he loves Ziggler's spirit, but if he's going to walk into Ciampa's home. Escobar interrupts and asks what the hell is going on. He comments on Ciampa and Breakker playing frenemies, and then says Ziggler doesn't go here but came by because of some mean tweets. Santos says after he becomes NXT champion, he's going to handle Ziggler and Ciampa. Ciampa warns Escobar what will happen if he interrupts him again. Ciampa turns to Braun and says he is next in line, unless Mr. Ziggler has a problem with it. Ziggler knocks Ciampa for his home being in front of the same 250 Florida people. Ziggler goes on until Ciampa levels him with a big punch, knocking him out of his chair as fans go wild. Ciampa brawls with Ziggler at ringside as Legado del Fantasma jumps Breakker in the ring. Ziggler and Ciampa fight up the ramp to the back. Breakker fights Mendoza and Wild off while Escobar has his back turned playing to the crowd. Escobar turns around and he's shocked now. Fans bark for Breakker. Escobar charges but Breakker fights him. Wild and Mendoza rush back in and beat him down, then put him through the table with a double spine buster. Escobar reminds Breakker how everything happens on his time, and this is his time, young champion. Escobar says he will see Breakker next week, young champion. Legado del Fantasma stands tall over Breakker as the music hits. We go backstage to a pre-recorded promo from Kaylee Ray, who warns NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose ahead of tonight's main event. We see footage of Grayson Waller and Sanga exiting the building moments ago. Waller says LA Knight got lucky and won tonight's match but he's a real loser because he broke his restraining order. Waller says it's very fitting that next week is Vengeance Day because that's exactly what he's going to get. The cameraman asks Waller if he's challenging Knight to a match. Waller says no, Knight is going to be arrested in front of the world next week, and he will be going to jail. Waller says karma is a bitch. He and Sanga exit the building. Sarray vs Dakota Kai. We see the dressed down version of Sarray walking backstage. She holds her sun necklace and turns into the Warrior of the Sun, then makes her way to the ring for a pop. We go to a picture-in-picture commercial break. Back from the break and Sarray rolls Kai up for a 2 count. Sarray goes into a single leg submission but Kai grabs the rope to break the hold as fans boo. Sarray kicks Kai and charges with the Sunray drop kick but gets hung up on the ropes as Kai moves. Kai with a running boot to the face in the corner, and another, then a third. Sarray kicks out at 2. Kai works Sarray over and taunts her. Sarray has a bicep bruise forming now. She fights back out of frustration and takes control. Fans rally as Sarray goes to the top for the missile dropkick. Kai kicks out at 2. Kai misses a scorpion kick but nails the second attempt. Kai with more offense for a close 2 count out of frustration. Sarray rolls Kai up for a 2 count. They tangle and trade offense on the mat. Kai kicks Sarray away but misses the running boot in the corner. Sarray comes back and drops Kai with a kick against the ropes. Sarray runs and hits the Sunray drop kick against the ropes. Sarray with the sleeper suplex for the pin to win. Winner, Sarray. After the match, Sarray stands tall as the music hits. We go to replays and come back to Sarray celebrating in the ring. NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are hanging out at the barber shop. Hayes says he has a third date with Ollie J.I. Trick says people on Twitter actually think Cameron Grimes has a shot at the title at Vengeance Day. Hayes looks at Grimes' Wikipedia page and points to how he has no major accomplishments after 2 years in NXT. Hayes goes on and says no one talked about Grimes until he started messing with him. Hayes and their friends are confident he will keep the title at Vengeance Day. Indy Hartwell is backstage on the phone with Dexter Lumis, talking about how they miss each other and have a bubble bath planned for when she gets home. Persia Pirata walks up and asks if that's Dexter or Duke Hudson on the phone. Persia is still into Duke but Indy insists he's trouble. NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne walk up and the two teams have words for next week's title match. Persia says Gigi and Jacy can console Mandy Rose when she loses the NXT Women's title to Kaylee Ray tonight, and then Mandy can console them next week. Jacy asks Indy who will console her when she loses the title shot next week, Dexter or her old friend Duke. She holds up a photo and a brawl breaks out until officials separate them. We see a photo of Indy and Duke laying on the floor as we go back to commercial. Back from a break and we get a new vignette for Nikita Lyons. She can sing but she can also kick ass. We see her training and talking about life on the road in the van with her parents, who are from the entertainment world. She had to grow up quicker than she wanted due to life on the road, fighting off all sorts of people. Eventually she was the one picking fights because she knew she could finish them. She goes on and says you can make assumptions but if you come at her with weak ass shit, beware of her lion's roar because she will take you out. The vignette says she is coming soon to NXT. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen are backstage and Jensen is nervous about going in and talking to Kaden Carter again. They finally enter the room and Briggs asks Carter and Casey Catanzaro if they want to hang out on Valentine's Day next week, and they do. The girls walk off and Briggs is upset with Jensen for fumbling it and saying we. Jensen says Briggs can take Casey out, which will allow him some alone time with Kaden. Briggs was not interested in a double date but Jensen got him into one. Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Semifinals, MSK vs Malik Blade and Edris Enofe. We go back to the ring for the final semifinals match in the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic as MSK comes out, Wesley and Nash Carter. Malik Blade and Edris Enofe are out next. The winners will face the Creed brothers in the finals at Vengeance Day next week. Blade starts off with Lee and they lock up. Blade takes it to the corner and they break, trying to show each other up. They lock up again and Blade leaps over Lee a few times. Lee sends him to the corner and tags Carter in for a big double team sequence. Carter covers for a quick 1 count. Blade fights up and out but Carter kicks him, then misses an enziguri. Enofe tags in and they double team Carter. Enofe slams Carter and grounds him with a headlock. More back and forth between the two now. Blade and Lee are legal now. MSK double teams Blade for a minute or two, sending him to the floor. MSK stands tall as we go to a break. Back from the break and Blade has been dominating Carter. Enofe tags in but Lee comes in and unloads on him. Lee slingshots Blade into a super kick from Carter. They go on but Carter's pin attempt is broken up by Enofe. Blade ends up nailing a big dive to Lee on the floor as Enofe rolls Carter for a close 2 count. They double team Carter some more. Enofe goes back to the top for a big splash but the pin is broken up just in time. MSK double teams Enofe in their corner now. They hit a big springboard blockbuster for the pin to win. Winners, MSK. After the match, MSK stands tall as the music hits. MSK vs. The Creed brothers is now confirmed for the Dusty Classic Finals at Vengeance Day as we go to replays. The two teams face off with the Dusty Classic trophy in between them. We get a vignette on Cameron Grimes now. Grimes is shown walking through his hometown of Burlington, North Carolina, talking about how much he's grown into a self-made man. He has everything he wants except what he got into the business to be. He'd trade in his houses and cars and come back to the trailer park if it meant he could walk through his front door and see the NXT North American title on his mantle. Grimes goes on and says he has a one-way ticket to the moon. Still to come, tonight's main event for the NXT Women's title. Vic sends us to a promo for the WWE 2K22 video game. Back from the break and Wendy Choo is sitting by her shopping bags backstage when Dakota Kai, suffering from he lost to Sarray, walks up. Choo says it's not easy as it looks, is it? Choo walks up as Kai looks on. The announcers go over the card for Vengeance Day next Tuesday. We see Kaylee Ray backstage with her baseball bat. She heads off to the main event. NXT Women's title match, Kaylee Ray vs Mandy Rose. We go to the ring for tonight's main event as Kaylee Ray heads out from the back. Toxic Attractions NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose and NXT Women's Tag Team Champions JC Jane and Gigi Dolan are suddenly attacked backstage by Persia Pirotta and Indy Hartwell. Rose is told to go ahead to the ring while Dolan and Jane brawl with Hartwell and Pirotta. KLR makes her way into the ring with her baseball bat first and she's ready to fight. The music hits and out comes Rose with the title around her waist. She poses on the apron as KLR looks on. We get formal ring introductions from Alicia Taylor. The bell rings and they go at it to start. The KLR bomb is blocked early on. KLR smiles but turns back around to a thus press and right hands. KLR rocks Rose and unloads with forearms as fans do dueling chants. KLR with a big tornado DDT off the ropes for a close 2 count. KLR goes to the top but steps down as she sees Rose retreat at ringside. KLR still risks it all and takes Rose down by the announce table as fans chant NXT, now. KLR brings it back into the ring for a 2 count. Rose turns it around and unloads in the corner now. KLR misses a right hand and Rose nails a spinebuster for a close 2 count. Rose grounds KLR with a body scissors now. Mackenzie checks in from backstage and says the tag champs have been escorted from the building, as have Pirotta and Hartwell. Rose and KLR trade submissions and pin attempts on the mat as the dueling chants continue. Rose with an abdominal stretch after they return to their feet now. KLR mounts some offense with a clothesline and dropkick. KLR with more offense in the corner. She nails a second rope moonsault for a 2 count, and another quick pin attempt. KLR goes right into a submission attempt now. Rose blocks another KLR bomb and rolls KLR up for a 2 count. KLR keeps fighting and plants Rose in the middle of the ring for 2. KLR levels Rose with a super kick for another close pin attempt. KLR shows some frustration now. KLR goes to the top but Jane distracts the referee from the apron while Dolan shoves Ray from the top turnbuckle to the mat. Rose follows up with a running knee to the face for the pin to win and retain. Winner, Mandy Rose. After the match, Toxic Attraction stands tall as the music hits. Jane has KLR's baseball bat. She hands it to Rose as fans boo. The tag champs hold KLR up as Rose taunts her with the bat. The music interrupts as Io Shirai runs out for a big pop. Shirai ducks a bat shot by Rose, then drops her. Shirai takes out Dolan, then Jane, and Dolan, then hits Dolan with a 619. Shirai springboards in from the apron and nails a double drop kick to the tag champs. Rose attacks Shirai but KLR makes the save with a KLR bomb to Rose. KLR and Shirai try to grab Rose's legs and pull her back into the middle of the ring while Dolan and Jane pull her to safety on the floor. The two sides yell at each other with Shirai and KLR standing tall in the ring together. Fans chant NXT, as the Vengeance Day Go Home show goes off the air.